Mario Cristobal, he's got his loafers on and he's got his spatula out. And wow, what a recruiting win for Jason Taylor, Joe Salavea, Coach Cristobal, and our fan base needed some kind of a dub this week. And this is a big one in recruiting. Hayden Lowe, welcome to the U.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I know it's only November, but Merry Flipmas to all. I hope you all get spatulas in your stockings. Miami Hurricanes have flipped four-star edge rusher Hayden Lowe from his commitment to the USC Trojans. He flips to the good guys. Lowe is going to be a Miami Hurricane. I'm Alex Dono, University of Miami alumnus, co-host of Locked On ACC, and writer for Canes County at Rivals. And shout out to my guy Marcus Benjamin, who I know he's been working overtime, typing all night about this Hayden Lowe flip. And thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch. So we're going to talk about where Miami's recruiting ranking now stands. And guys, we knew that a lot of the recruits that Miami had still been pursuing, as we're a few weeks away from National Signing Day, most of the recruits Miami was still after are guys who are committed elsewhere. Hayden Lowe being a major one there. So we're going to talk about where Miami now stands in the class of 2025 recruiting rankings. What is Hayden Lowe going to bring to the U? Because not only I have a good time watching his huddle reel. I haven't, of course, seen him play in person, being he's a California kid. I'm a Florida guy, but I've watched some of Lowe, and wow, his quickness, his explosiveness really jumps off the page. And I've also sought scouting reports from others. We'll talk about that, but let's talk about what just happened here. So we get the news, and this caught a lot of people off guard, because usually when Miami lands a new commit, it's usually at 7:00 p.m. Eastern time, and there's usually that 6:30 p.m. bat signal from Dennis Smith on Miami staff. We got no warning whatsoever for this one. Hayden Lowe stands 6'4", 242 pounds. He's out of Oaks Christian High School in Westlake Village, California. He is the third rated edge rusher in the entire class, according to 24/7 Sports. Third rated overall player from the state of California. They got a lot of talent there in California. And it's interesting because, and obviously he's not the first, flip Miami gets from USC's recruiting class. Hilton Drake Stubbs, another excellent defensive player, 4-star, borderline 5-star safety who's coming to Miami. But oftentimes when USC, and I know they're having a rough go on the field this year, that I'm sure that contributes. I can't speak for Hayden Lowe or anyone else on that, but obviously they're having a rough time on the football field. But sometimes USC has a hard time keeping commits, and a lot of times it's East Coast kids or Florida kids that just have a hard time actually going across the country. But in the case of Hayden Lowe, Miami snatches him right out of USC's backyard. So how did the Hurricanes make this happen? Relationships. I tip my cap to Miami Hurricanes defensive line coach, Pro Football Hall of Famer Jason Taylor, because Coach JT has built a bond with Hayden Lowe. He went out just about a month ago when Miami had their first bye week of the season. Coach JT, during that bye week, flew out to California to watch Lowe play in person. That was something that Lowe, it sounds like he and his family were very appreciative of that. And he really likes the idea of learning from a Pro Football Hall of Famer. And I keep hearing, I had a conversation on the phone a little while ago with Larry Bluestein, who, Blue follows every high school player in the country. I don't know how he does it. He follows Hayden Lowe very closely and has spoke to people about Lowe. And something that Lowe felt really comfortable with at Miami is the way everyone in that building is treated, like the way that these players are treated, the relationships that Miami players have with the coaching staff, because guys, they talk about that with current Miami players. When these players come down for visits, unofficial or official, they talk to players who are on the Miami roster or USC's roster or whoever, wherever they're visiting, and they like to get the real talk, right? And thankfully, Miami players seem to enjoy it. In South Florida, they seem to enjoy the coaching they're getting, the family atmosphere. We keep hearing about what a family Miami has behind the scenes. If you're Florida State, you've got former players like Keon Coleman who are telling players not to go play there. In the case of Miami, you've got players telling it like it is, that this is a great spot to be in. And Lowe really sees Jason Taylor, coaching the defensive line, but especially coaching the edge rushers, as someone he feels can develop him and take him to the next level. And that was a big thing that I get the impression that Lowe, feels like Jason Taylor is the coach for him. Here's what Hayden Lowe told On3 Sports. I feel like Miami has given me unwavering love since the start of my recruiting process. Since the start, USC hasn't really given me all in. He said, I haven't really been their number one guy from the start. I became their number one guy when other recruits decommitted. With you, Miami, he says, I've been their number one guy since the start. They love me. You've got to go where you're wanted. I feel like I'm more wanted in Miami than in LA. I love that quote. Here's what Lowe told On3 Sports about Jason Taylor. In order to be the best, you have to be coached by the best and someone that has actually went through what you're going through, he said about JT. So I feel like nobody in college football has that power to instill what you want other than Jason Taylor, because he's gone through it. He's been against the best of the best. He's gone through all the struggles. He's won games. He's won Super Bowls. That's actually not true, but I won't correct him on that. He holds records. He's a Hall of Famer. There's no other coach on the planet that can really give you the information that he can. Only he can, because he went through it. He has personal relationships through it. I feel like the program is going on an upward rise, he said about Miami, because they're excited about so many young recruits that are coming in, big names that are coming in. Mario Cristobal, Hayden Lowe says, he's done a very, very great job of winning this year. They're a winning program. So that's some of what Hayden Lowe had to say. Now, I reached out not only to Larry Bluestein, I reached out to our guy Brian Smith, who unfortunately cannot join us tonight, but we'll probably track down the recruiting overlord later this week. He gave me his scouting report on the newest Miami Hurricanes commit, 4-star edge rusher Hayden Lowe. He says great length at 6'4", roughly 250. He plays strong side defensive end in high school, could stay there or move inside to defensive tackle, Brian says. And by the way, let me go back to something Larry Bluestein told me when I was talking to Blue. So Lowe is around that, 245, maybe 250, probably a little under 250 range right now. But Larry Bluestein told me matter-of-factly, I think this guy could put on 20 more pounds of solid muscle. Like, he could add about 20 pounds to his frame. That would definitely allow him to move inside if he gets to the 265, 270 range. Blue and Brian Smith were both raving about Hayden Lowe's length. Let me continue what Brian told me. He says he prefers to run through a blocker, but will occasionally dip his shoulder and speed rush. He understands the RPO game, doesn't get sucked into automatically taking the dive back. He says changes directions well to make tackles. We need that right now. He says, Brian told me, I expect Coach Jason Taylor to coach Lowe up on pass rushing, and he's so strong that playing the run shouldn't be hard for him. And guys, the other sense that I get when I watch Hayden Lowe's huddle reel and his highlight tape is he looks like the physically mature type of prospect who could be ready to make an immediate impact, right? Certain guys you bring in are a little bit more of projects, and that's not always a bad thing. Like, I think Marquise Lightfoot is going to be a stud at Miami, but he came in a little undersized, needs to put on more weight. Whereas other guys, like Ruben Bain, when he came in as a true freshman, is just ready to hit the ground running. I think Hayden Lowe is someone like that by the time he arrives at Miami in 2025 next season, hopefully he ends up being an early enrollee. We all love the jump start that early enrollees get. He's ready to come in and make an immediate impact. So you're talking about the third rated edge rusher in the entire class of 2025. And if you go by the 24/7 sports player rankings, Hayden Lowe is now the top recruit in Miami's class, the top verbal commit in Miami's class, I should say. We'll talk a little bit more about that class. And guys, I continue. My radar is always up this time of year, especially during the bye week, because during the bye week, the staff, they're still coaching, but they have extra time to recruit during a bye week. So I keep hearing that other flips could be very possible. Other flips could be in the works. I see some people in the live chat here on YouTube that are saying we want Ben Hanks. Hopefully Hanks is someone Miami can find a way to flip, the 4-star defensive cornerback who's currently committed to the Florida Gators. But let's talk about where the University of Miami's class for 2025 now stands, how much they improved by adding Mr. Lowe. Guys, we're not done yet. And by the way, we're live. If you're watching us right now on YouTube, make sure to smash that thumbs up button, subscribe to Locked On Canes. If you're listening to the audio version, make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your pods. But we're only getting started on this brand new episode. Big recruiting dub for Miami. Keep it locked. I already know you're keeping it locked to Game Time. This is the only ticket app that I use. Guys, Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite live teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Folks, I love how the closer you get to the event, the lower the prices get on Game Time. Last-minute tickets is one of their specialties. I love the all-in pricing feature, which shows you the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. I love getting a panoramic view from my seat in the app before I buy. And here's what else I love about Game Time. Guys, we give you a deal. People are always asking me, Dono, what's that ticket app that you're talking about? Listen closely, because we're talking about Game Time. And when you sign up today, download the Game Time app, create an account, and use our promo code Locked On College. That's all one word, Locked On College. We're going to give you $20 off your first purchase. You can't beat that. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code Locked On College for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Guys, it's also time for FanDuel. Folks, get ready to tackle the NFL action with America's #1 sportsbook. That's FanDuel. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. When you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more right on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. Again, $150 in bonus bets is coming your way if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thank you so much for making this emergency episode of Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. We're free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So the last time we did one of these recruiting episodes, that was for Malachi Toney, who had decommitted and then recommitted to Miami. So we said welcome back to the U to Malachi Toney. Now we say welcome to the U to edge rusher Hayden Lowe, who's now a Miami Hurricane, listed at 6'4", 242 pounds, out of Oaks Christian High School in Westlake Village, California. He was committed to the USC Trojans since June 9th. So he had been a long-time commit to USC, flips to Miami here on Wednesday afternoon. We're talking to you on a Wednesday evening, and we heard it in Lowe's own words that he was feeling the love from Miami, that Miami made him the #1 priority. He wasn't feeling that way about the USC Trojans, and we know he respects Jason Taylor. Here's something else that Lowe said. This was right after Jason Taylor went to visit him about a month ago during Miami's last bye week. He said, quote, "It feels like I can be," this is what he told Rivals, by the way. Kudos to my guy, Marcus Benjamin, for writing this up. "It feels like I can be developed in ways that only Jason Taylor can develop me because he's been on the field." Basically, him and Coach Joe Salavea, credit to Coach Joe as well, Big Joe, they ain't talking it. They've done it. It can get better, he says. Lowe is a good nugget. He expects to graduate early from high school and attend spring practice at Miami next year. So, all right, depending on which recruiting ranking you go by, if you go by Rivals, Miami now has the 7th rated class in the country. If you go by 24/7 Sports, Miami now has the 10th rated class in the country. I'm riding with Rivals on this one. 7th rated class of 2025 in the nation. Now, yeah, I feel like Rivals is always a little too hard on my guy, Luke Nickel, who's an absolute stud at quarterback. They don't give Luke enough respect. It seems like, Rivals more than 24/7 gives some of these Miami recruits a little respect here. But let's take a look at Miami's verbal commits so far. Hurricanes are up to 23 verbal commits. I think the class is probably going to be around 25 when it's all said and done. So we've got Hayden Lowe, 4-star edge rusher, who's Miami's newest verbal commit. He's also now Miami's highest rated verbal commit. 4-star interior offensive lineman, S.J. Alofaituli, who I'm a huge fan of. I think he's going to be the next great center at the U. Hilton Drake Stubbs, 4-star safety out of Mandarin High School in Jacksonville. Gerard Pringle Jr., tremendous running back out of Armwood High School, which is another powerhouse program in the Tampa area. You've got tight end Brock Schott out of Leo, Indiana. He's a 4-star. Joshua Moore, that was another flip that Miami got earlier this season, former Florida Gators commit. 6'4", 205, 4-star receiver out of Pembroke Pines, West Broward. He's a former Gators commit. How about Herbert Scroggins? 4-star edge rusher. Herbert Scroggins just finished his high school season in Georgia as the sack leader of the entire state. That's another great high school football state. He's the sack leader of the entire state of Georgia, regardless of classification. No matter what size high school, Herbert Scroggins had 17 sacks this year, sack leader for the entire state of Georgia. I'm so glad he's coming to Miami. He's out of Benedictine Military School in Savannah. Miami's got 4-star defensive back safety Bryce Fitzgerald out of Miami Columbus. 4-star linebacker Gavin Nix out of IMG Academy. 4-star cornerback Amari Wallace out of Miami Central. I'm a huge fan of Amari Wallace. He's recovering from a serious injury, a broken leg, so let's be a little patient with him. It might take him some time to get back to full speed, but we're going to love him. Jabori Antoine, this was a guy that picked Miami over LSU despite being a Louisiana native. 4-star cornerback. Chris Ewald, another 4-star corner out of Chaminade Madonna. Luca Gilbert, a 4-star tight end. Malachi Toney, who's a 3-star wide receiver, reclassified from 26 to 25. Luke Nickel, who, on every other recruiting service is a 4-star quarterback except for 24/7. They don't give the man any respect. Ezekiel Marcelin at linebacker, Dalen Upshaw at receiver, Max Buchanan on the offensive line, another really underrated recruit. Buchanan, I love his attitude, and I love watching him pancake fools. Dante Simpson on the D-line, Timothy Merritt at cornerback, Jaden Wilkerson at offensive tackle, Micah Newton at edge rusher, and Demetrius Campbell on the offensive line. That's Miami's currently 23 members of the class of 2025. And, yeah, I agree with our guy Michael here in the live chat. Hello, Michael, that Miami we need more defensive backs. I listed off a lot of good ones. Miami's got a lot of good defensive backs already in the class, but give me some Ben Hanks Jr. or give me some Booker Pickett or DJ. Sorry, Booker Pickett's already on the team. DJ Pickett, or give me some Shamar Arno. We'll see. I feel like Hanks is probably the most likely out of those three to flip, but I'm not sleeping on Arno either. DJ Pickett, I'm getting mostly vibes that he's going to stick with LSU. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, we need more defensive backs in this class. And if any of them can reclassify and play, in a week and a half, I wouldn't complain about that. And yeah, and be like our guy, Andy, and smash that like button and subscribe to Locked On Canes. So folks, this is a huge recruiting dub for Miami. And Mario Cristobal, we know what his work ethic is like on the trail, and he gets those loafers on. He gets that spatula out. He does not give up on any prospect. And you guys heard it. You guys heard it right from Hayden Lowe's mouth. Miami made him feel like priority number one all along. Wasn't getting those vibes from USC, where he was formerly committed to. He loves Jason Taylor. He loves Big Joe Salavea. He loves Mario Cristobal. He respects the trajectory that Miami is on right now. I know we're all still bummed about the Georgia Tech game, as we have a right to be, but we appreciate Miami's already got 9 wins. Miami still controls their own destiny for an ACC championship, for a college football playoff berth. Let's hope our guys come out of the bye week winning some more football games and winning some more recruiting battles. Because again, I keep hearing things that, hey, there could be more big flips in the cards here. This was a big one tonight. Hayden Lowe, welcome to the U. Chad wants to know, will we beat Wake Forest? I hope so. I mean, Wake Forest is not that good. 4 wins on the year. If Miami doesn't beat Wake Forest at home, we do not deserve to be playing for anything, championship-wise, ACC or CFP. So Miami better beat Wake Forest, and I believe they will. Guys, thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first or your second. This is our second episode of the day because we got breaking news. We had to talk about it. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. My guy Gio Milian is going to join us tomorrow. So we'll talk more about Hayden Lowe. If he thinks there are any other flip candidates in the works, we will talk to you guys then on another episode of Locked On Canes. We're part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.